Well, hey everybody, it is time to do some painting together. I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's going to be good. Um, it's been a long time since I've done digital art, really, because of some issues I've had with my hand in the past. But today I thought, well, actually, it's been a little bit. I've been kind of going back and forth and thinking about doing some live streaming and just having a Saturday night stream where we can just chill, make some art, have a good time. So feel free to either sketch along on whatever you're working on, or just grab a drink of your choice, and we're just gonna make some. I had two songs going at the same time. Oh yeah, you know what, Goose, you were totally right. I found that. I figured it out. Um, and as you can see, this is going to be pretty crazy to try to actually figure out as I go. But thanks for being here, Goose. Hopefully there's no music playing right now, is there? No? Okay, so what we're working on tonight is Bilbo Baggins. I have got this piece that I want to do from Lord of the Rings. I've done a couple in the past, and I've been wanting to do this one for quite some time. Excuse me. And so here's kind of what I've been working on. I did this on my iPad a little bit earlier, and this is my color rough of the piece I'm working on. Obviously, here is Gandalf, along with Bilbo Baggins. And what we're going to work on tonight is maybe fleshing out a little bit more of Bilbo's character, along with maybe the layout a little bit more. I'm not totally happy with where this is at right now, but it's one of those things you just kind of work on, and you just kind of flush out as it goes. And yeah, there's no music right now, but I'm just gonna just chat right now, so it's like maybe any music. Yeah, the portfolio section is kind of sweet. I hope it's gonna work. I thought I'd just have a little bit. So kind of right up there is just some of the pieces, not all of them. I thought I would just show some of the work that I've done over the years. Yeah. So, well, I think we should go ahead and get to it here, making some art together. So tonight we are in Photoshop. I am drawing on a Wacom Cintiq. I believe it's the 22 inch. Was it 22? 21 inch? I've had this for a number of years. I'm using the Coolorus plugin. It is a color wheel right up here. It's a pretty awesome little guy, and it helps you with just making different mixtures of paint and color palettes, and it has all sorts of different things. You can do color masking, which is just insane, which I really like. You can say, hey, I want an analogous color palette, or maybe a complementary, and it will just kind of help with that. It just kind of gives you a guide on what you're going to do. I used it a long time ago when I was doing illustration work, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna just keep that thing going because it's actually pretty dang helpful. So I'm using some brushes that I've made over the years, and some that I've purchased, and they're really helpful. So we don't need Gandalf right now. And we're just going to bring Bilbo up here a little bit. All right. So right now we are I'm streaming on 3 different places. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, which is, pretty insane. So what I typically do is I like to come in with different layers and just kind of refine my drawing by bringing the opacity down to the previous layer. So like this, this, let me bring my layers up a little bit more so we can see what's going on. This layer that I have right now is just, I've just brought the opacity way down, just kind of the initial sketch. So I was kind of messing around with something above it, but I think is at a spot where it is fine just to go ahead and get cracking right on it. So typically what I've done for digital painting is I've found that it's great and it's nice to have your buttons and everything here, but it's also really nice just to have a wireless keyboard like this, just kind of off to the side so that I can do some of my favorite, you know, keystrokes and that kind of thing. So I'm going to do here, I'm just going to make a copy. Let's make a copy of Bilbo here so that if anything happens, we can always get him back here. So what he's going to be doing, obviously, is he's kind of sitting, waiting for Gandalf here. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just flip this image around. I like to flip my image tons back and forth because that's kind of where you end up seeing a lot of the problems. So, which is pretty helpful. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna get my stream, some of my stream stuff going here. Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm ready to go here. So, you know, he's kind of sitting there having his pipe, enjoying life. Typically, it's nice to actually work a little bit looser than I am right now, and that is so that I can kind of come in and refine things as I go. So let's make sure that we're on the right layer here. And so there's tons of way to kind of, you know, structure out your piece as far as the anatomy of it. I like to. Oh, I went and flipped it all the way around here. Let's get back here. So we get his chest here, where he's gonna sit, and then his hips, Bilbo's hips, and we'll get his legs going here too. Because what we got to do is we're gonna have to figure out kind of what we want for his gesture, how we want him sitting, all that kind of stuff. And you know, do we want him smoke? I think I think it'd be kind of nice to have him somehow like holding a pipe here, not necessarily right in his mouth, but that he's like maybe in mid conversation with Gandalf. Might be kind of nice. Now, he's got this like traveling jacket on in this in this reference shot that I have, which I think is kind of nice. And I do like that he doesn't have the flip down collar. So I think what we're going to do is when it comes to the time for that, I think we're going to abandon the flip down collar, because I think I like that a little bit better. But I think, I don't know if I want him in his jacket or not. I think what we could do is, for now, we'll just leave him kind of yeah, let's put him in his jacket, and then we'll kind of go from there. So he'll be just kind of sitting here. don't know if we want his legs crossed, maybe. Or maybe he could have his big foot here while he's having his pipe. Oh. Sitting in his little stool here, or his little chair. Kind of chair would our fair hobbit sit in here? One of the things that I run into over the years, time and time again, is that I make the blunder of kind of working on details before I get far enough into things, and then I end up kind of having to repaint something, which is fine. But if I would have thought about it ahead of time, we wouldn't be in that situation. So all right, so we're going to kind of work on this chair here a little bit. It's got a little cute chair. Just so that we can get some of this gesture nailed down a little bit. Now to you, that's probably looking like pretty crazy, pretty insane. But it does kind of make sense to me. What I love about digital work is I'm able to just kind of be like, oh, let's move his foot down a little bit, which before would have been just a massive, a complete redraw. But there, I can just kind of redraw it, or I just kind of move it around, which is so nice. So I think what we're gonna do here is go ahead and get this collar piece sorted out here a little bit, because he's got just kind of the smaller collar here, and which I like, along with the jacket. The only thing about doing a jacket like this is that how would he sit in it? Would it be coming down here? Oh, hey, welcome. Nice to have the follow. This is Skippy. Thanks for the thank you for the follow. I appreciate that a lot. Nice to have you. Got some new people coming in here on Twitch. Yeah, thanks a lot. All right, so with Bilbo here, one of the things is that he we have to work on kind of what is his expression going to be. Is he going to be really enjoying this interaction? Is he going to be a little bit confused? Are we going to kind of keep him maybe a little bit what's the word, neutral in his expression, in his discussion with Gandalf? Or is it going to be that he's already kind of like, yeah, I'm not coming, because that that is part of what their discussion is. So I must have made a new layer at some point and I wasn't paying attention. So I can just kind of select these two, Control E merges them together, and then I can just kind of keep working. The sketching part of things can get just so so crazy. Especially when you're trying to work things out and figure out where they're going to go and what they're going to and where they're going to, you know, what they're going to do. I've got to figure out a way to be able to see the new followers as they come in here, because I don't want to miss them. I think I already missed that first person. All right. I think that's pretty nice. And in fact, I think because his head is a little bit more rendered than the other parts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and take that out. And oops, let's not do that. And just put it on its own layer, so that I can kind of just bring this down. One of the things that I really like doing is that I typically do is I don't work directly on a white background, and this allows me just to kind of maybe just enjoy the and not have just this stark white background going on, which is a little more pleasing to work on. So okay, let's get back here to Mr. Bilbo Baggins. What we'll also probably work on too is a little bit of Gandalf, but if we can just kind of cruise here on Bilbo a little bit, I think that would be really great. All right, so let's bring that sketch way down, so that I can kind of maybe make some new decisions here about where I'm going without getting too caught up in. Now, one of the things is that I think I want to address here as well is Bilbo's hair, because it's kind of more like a fro the way I've drawn it, and that's actually not really what his hair is doing. It's not a hobbit fro. So I think I'm going to. They're kind of larger curls, especially because like they do end up going down kind of over his face. He's got curly hair, but it's not tight like an afro. And I don't want to be too scared to hide his face here either. So I think I'm starting to like that a little bit better anyways. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to work things out a little bit as you go. Kind of funny because I started that yesterday as I was just kind of sketching him a little bit, and then I realized, oh man, I need to just kind of now as I'm looking at it. So I think that's a little bit better. I'm not sure how big I want his hair to be, but yeah. Well, thanks for those who are hanging out with us here tonight. Hey, Laura, nice to have you here, hanging out with us as we're drawing here tonight. It's kind of just kind of getting stuff sorted out here. Live streaming from a computer is a lot different than live streaming a service. And so I'm just trying to figure all that out here. I do really like his little jacket that he's got in this. So I think I want to, but I think I've got his, jacket sleeves a little bit too thick, or yeah, too broad. And I don't necessarily want that. I've been drawing more on the iPad recently, and what's nice about that is the touch on that thing is just crazy. As opposed to the Cintiq. The Cintiq has great, and I've used that probably longer than I had. See, and I wonder if I'm gonna actually want to use his arm, bring his arm down a little bit. So what I can just do here is I can actually just let's just kind of tilt it a little bit towards him and just bring it down. And maybe we're just kind of shorten it up there a little bit. I don't want it crossing his face. I think I have some sort of snapping on right now, which is kind of driving me nuts. So the hiatus that I kind of took from drawing, and there's quite a few things that they changed in Photoshop from when I was drawing before, and so I came in here the other day to kind of get stuff ready to go and set up, and there's like my brushes wouldn't work. They like the sensitivity was all messed up, and I found out there's this little button here that forces it to use the opacity as for pressure sensitivity, and now it worked. I don't understand. I don't know why it needed that, but it did. So I wonder what Bilbo should have in his hand. Does anybody? Hey, Gavin. Nice to see you, my man. Gavin, what should he be holding in his hand? I mean, he's got his pipe here, obviously in his one of his hands. But what should he be holding in the other? I always like to flare that out. It's like the equivalent of a bootcut pant or something like that. So what I'm probably going to need here is some sort of reference for how this coat would lay if it was here. You know, as it's sitting off of the chair. My buddy, when I was in school, my buddy Hasan and I would always talk about the dreaded drapery and cloth, because I think cloth and drapery just kick people's butt a lot. So he is a Bigfoot. He has big feet. He's not Bigfoot. That's not what we're drawing here today. But that would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? maybe we'll have to do a little bit of Bigfoot. In fact, actually, one of my buddies years ago used to live in Bemidji. His name's Eric Evanson. He had a really awesome comic that involved a Sasquatch that I thought was really great. So once again, here we are just trying to sort out some of the anatomy, where his leg's gonna be. I probably should have thought this more through before I started tonight, that I would be okay. We got to get his hairy feet in there right away. That I would be drawing this. Do I really need my ruler on? Probably not. Can everybody see the what I'm working on? Okay. Do I need to be zooming in anymore? Is it better if I zoom in a little bit more, a little bit tighter? Thanks a lot to Joel, who was helping me with getting the stream up and going, because I was struggling the other day with trying to get it going. It was broadcasting in like 720. I think it had to, and I'm like, here I am on this great internet service provider, and I've got gigabit internet, and here I am streaming at 720. So it's a bit ridiculous. I typically maybe just come back and what should he be holding in his hand? I'd maybe have to look at the story part again to see what he's actually holding. It's funny, you get all these you get so close to all these awesome ideas, and then at the very end it's like, oh shoot, what should he be doing with his hand? Maybe he's holding a plate of muffins. All right, so I typically like to flip the screen here so that I can get a good idea of things that are going wrong. That's just an old trick. That they would use with a mirror, just to kind of see what's going on. Now, is he slouching? I don't even know if we would see this part of his coat. Probably not. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Last time I did a drawing, I actually had to sit down and my stylus just smashed the microphone here. I have him just kind of holding his cloak here. You could be holding one of those long matches sticks used to light the bulb. And that, Skippy, that is a really, yeah, that's a really good idea. Old Toby. That's right. That's what he was. That's what he would have been smoking. I wonder then if I should move his arm up a little bit rather than having it, you know, grasping his cloak here. Let me throw a little bit of value down just to kind of see where things are sitting here. So I got this other brush. So, you know, this is kind of my drawing, my sketchy brush. It's just really, really light. The more harder I push, the harder it gets. I do have, I actually think I call it my favorite texture brush. And this one is Wesley. My goodness, it's been forever. How you doing, guy? Thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining us. All right, I'm going to start giving this image just a little bit of value here on his hair and on his body, just to, because we don't have to solve everything right now. And we're gonna, so this brush just is a light textured brush that has it still has opacity on it, so the harder I'm pushing, the harder it's going, and then I can kind of layer it like that if I need to. It's not like the best for like necessarily blocking things in, but now, like I said, I'm kind of going backwards here because I would typically finish up my drawing before I do this, but I kind of want to see where things are sitting, and I can always erase it here in a little bit as well. So what I'm going to do here with this guy is, oops, I am just going to bring the value of his coat down just a little bit. Oops. And so a pouch, a little stick for lighting tobacco. I love those ideas. I think that's probably what we're going to need to do here. Thanks to all the new people who are coming in right now. I'm seeing you joining in on Facebook and even on Twitch now. We got a couple people. Welcome to my very first stream like this of any sort. I've popped on and done random little things before, but this is going to be kind of my first stream of any sort. I really do like that he has that's really funny. So if you hit this lock pixel button right down here, what's really nice is that now I can draw only in the things that are only the areas that are covered already, which I think is really cool. I use that just a ton to make sure that I'm laying down what I want to lay down. Okay. once again, this is just a value study. And oops, nothing more for his body here. I just want to get kind of an idea of where things are going on. Forget that that is going to be super white up here with his shirt. One of the reasons I draw on the tinted background too is so that I can just I don't have, you know, all my midtones are kind of taken care of for me, rather than coming in and trying to get that. So, all right, let's take a look and see how we're sitting here. Yeah, I think that's going to be nice. At least that's a nice feeling to and when we actually have Gandalf next to him. I think that's going to be nice. I'm going to actually bring the adjustments on this guy down a little bit. Oh, and my curves window is on my other monitor, so I got to bring that over here. Let me see if I can traverse all of these. So what I'm doing now is I'm just, if you've never used curves here, this is your shadows and darker tones, and this is your higher, your lighter tones up here. So if I just bring this down here, I can actually just make his whole coat a little bit darker without necessarily having to redraw it, which is great, which is helpful. All right, he's really kind of coming together. The layers that I use, sometimes I use a soft overlay or soft light, and so if I take kind of a more saturated color, I can just kind of, you know, typically colors in the light's a little bit more saturated, not always, but I can kind of just paint that, in right there. Realized I never really did much for value of his feet, so let's get that sorted here. And yeah, I think we're kind of cruising here. Ah, Skippy knows the lock pixel trick as well. So, so is that okay? Hey, Skippy mentioned the camera covering the layers panel. Yeah, you know what? I wonder if there's a better spot for me to put it. And I'm wondering if I could maybe move myself over a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of move myself here. Is that a little bit better? Thanks, Skippy. Let me know if that's better. You can't see the whole thing, but that may help it a little bit. Let me do this here. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Oh, hi Sandy. Welcome. Yeah, we're working on a little bit of Bilbo Baggins here. Bilbo Baggins. Now I just realized with his coat like this, it's more likely he'd be on some sort of stool rather than an actual chair with a back, but I mean, you can sit down with a coat like that. However, it would kind of loop around you a little bit more. The other thing sometimes I'll do is that lock pixel is I'll lock the pixel and then come down and actually just fill fill with a darker color like that. All right, so that gives me kind of a rough now of Bilbo. So I've got at least kind of an idea of what he's going to be like. And yeah, I think we can probably go from there. Is everybody able to hear me okay? Is my microphone loud enough when I'm talking? Is it a lot better? Thanks, Skippy, on the my camera covering the layers panel. I'm wondering if I actually may move the camera to a different spot as we kind of go along here. But we'll have to see. All right, I don't want to take Bilbo too far, because we do have to get to Gandalf as well. So what I'm going to do here is grab all my layers here that I have. Some of them are turned off here. And we're just going to write Bilbo. I'm just going to kind of move him over here a little bit. Turn off the reference. Turn on our reference for... Now, typically, I do gather more than just this as reference, but I liked not necessarily how it's flowing, but to be able to see all of his robes here. So, and then also how we want Gandalf to be standing, because Gandalf could be, I don't want him like looming over poor Bilbo, but he is standing, they're having a discussion, they're talking about going on an adventure, and I said he... Right on. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead. So what I'm going to do actually, this particular Gandalf, let me find all the layers of Gandalf. I think these are all the layers of Gandalf. Yeah. If I do that, can you even see? You can't. Okay, that's what I was not excited about in regards to Twitch. I mean, to my streaming software, is that if I pop a window out like that, it suddenly just doesn't show at all. So transform this and flip Gandalf around here as well. So we were just watching a show the other day, and I was just drawing Gandalf. I just realized I probably should make my canvas a little bit bigger here to accommodate the size of Gandalf's height here, because he's pretty high. He's pretty tall. Let's go just from the bottom. I'm gonna make it considerably taller, so that we have enough room to work with Gandalf. I mean, that's obviously ridiculously tall, but I wanted to be able to make sure that we have enough space. I didn't mean to have his Let's just call this Gandalf so that we know. I like how there's like a rogue stroke over here. I don't know what that's from. Okay, I'm going to move Bilbo over just a little bit here, out of the way. And then now I can move my Gandalf reference so it's not covering Bilbo right now. Gandalf is still going to be considerably taller, but not quite so large. Remember, they would be a child, not necessarily a giant. But what is nice about the digital world is that I'm able just to move things around and not worry about it quite so much. Yeah, he was awfully tall, my love, compared to Bill. But you're right. He was, as you could say, humongous. All right. So just so that I have an idea. Actually, you know what I should do? Let's just bring everything into that new document so that I have it. Even my reference here. And let's flip that. Everything's flipping. Okay. Does Gandalf look about the right size, or is he still just a little bit too big? He may just be still a little bit too big. But that's all right. We'll work with it. Okay, well let's get Gandalf going here. Back to my drawing. My sketching. Now, one of the things is I thought about maybe bringing his arm down instead of holding it on his hips. Man, he still just seems like he's a giant. Is it just me, or is he still just absolutely humongous? I must have snapping on or something like that, which is why. All right. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing I usually do, is just kind of get some structure here for where things are at. Sometimes I put shoulder blades. This would represent like his rib cage, you know. And then I like to put kind of where his hips would be. He's slightly, you know, the gesture is like that. He's slightly leaning over. So even though you're not going to see his legs, I think it's important to figure out where his legs are, so that as we're kind of going through here, because see, what I'm starting to figure out is that his height here is going to be still simply just too big. Compared to Bilbo. So we're gonna have to move him up again. Take care of my reference photos again, moving those around, get those all sorted out here. In the past, I would have just started drawing his, where I thought he would be, just the robe, and then that can work, but sometimes you can get yourself into trouble. His head looks a little big still, but not much. Yeah, it may be. I think he's entirely everything. I think everything is just still just too big. But I might just kind of keep going and then just shrink it. You like what flipped? Just a little as close to me as possible. I'm not used to having a microphone here, so I'm probably banging it a little bit more than I normally would. So sorry about that. Okay, so let's experiment a little bit with him doing the kind of the classic. Now, as far as proportions, I found a quick trick. I don't remember who it was, but the length of this upper arm here is the same length as to like the bottom of your rib cage. So if you kind of feel the bottom of your rib cage, kind of your elbow and the bottom of your rib cage are kind of in the same spot. I know that that's not necessarily how you should do it. Or maybe instead of on his hip, he'd actually be doing the thing where he's just kind of holding on to his belt, or grabbing along his belt here. Well, let's not draw that like that. Okay. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put where I want his hand to end up. So like, okay, so I want his hand to be up here, right? And then I'll just connect the other parts to it. So actually, I think I actually maybe want his hands to, okay, or we need to make this canvas even bigger. Let's go width of like, let's add a couple more inches, 13. And what we need to do is make our ground a little bit bigger as well. The ground being, I mean the background. So now we can just move all of our, I'm going to save what I'm working on. Control S is your friend. So now would he be holding it maybe even above his head? It kind of looks like I've drawn his underwear, which is really weird. Because I kind of want him in a way to kind of be resting on it a little bit. But maybe that's a little bit too high. Let's see what that's like. Because he would have, his... Okay, so we do the same thing. The height here. And then just connect it in. Old man Gandalf. So then what's really nice then is that if I get that right, sometimes putting on the flesh is a lot easier because you can kind of just stick it on. Now, one of the things I've kind of noticed about Gandalf here is that his legs need to be a little bit longer. So I'm just going to kind of take my lasso tool here, hit Control T, whoops, on just that layer. And I'm just going to kind of stretch out. I wanted to be a little bit larger than life, because right, he is not a man. And if you need to know all who he is, you can ask my stepson Avery, and he will explain to you that Gandalf is not a man. Okay. So now what I can kind of do is, let's just lower the opacity of this down a little bit. And then let's try to get where his robes would. Now, they wouldn't be at the very end, but I do want to have, rather... I just hit shift while I was to get a straight line there. I used to have a wonderful little thing that would allow me to do straight lines. It was a plugin, and I don't remember what it was called. I'm gonna have to look for that. All right, so then as he's kicked out his can you believe that we have to make this even bigger? And this is why I run into lots of problems. Width. Let's give it 15. The problem with that is that I just keep having to stretch everything out, make it bigger. Okay. All right, so same with this. One thing I noticed about my drawings is that I'm notorious, horrible for not having straight lines. Like every little line I do is curvy, which can be absolutely infuriating in the long run. I don't know if I necessarily want his sleeves to be that big, because that's actually pretty ridiculous. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to quick drag this and make a copy of it so that I have it. And then I'm going to kind of go through and just start erasing some of these other lines that are not going to be tremendously helpful right now. However, what I just realized is that I do need the middle ones for his belt and all that kind of stuff too. So I think these are going to be, if I do them like that, are going to be the biggest sleeves in Middle Earth, which I don't know if we necessarily want. And I think it's this line that is driving me nuts right now. I think, given that he is leaned over, this is where we need a little bit more knowledge of what's going on, because he has, layers of things. It's out here. So this is going to be his absolutely massive hood. I mean, it's, the biggest hood ever. All right, so what we need here is okay, let's get that in there like that. Oh, thanks, Skippy. Yeah, Skippy just mentioned doing an art course of some sort. I've actually thought about doing that. I've picked up quite a bit over the years. That might be something definitely to pursue later on. The legs need to be longer. Still, the legs need to be longer. Proportions. So Dante, I have on a Wacom Cintiq. Sorry, I'm seeing some chat coming through here a little bit. Yeah, so Wacom, however you want to say it, Cintiq. It's a really nice guy. I like it a lot. It served me well over the years when I was doing this vocationally. And do we still think his legs need to be longer? You're probably right. His legs are still not longer. So that means what I need to do is I need to flip the canvas here like this so that I can get a better look at what I'm doing. And yeah, we probably should make his legs longer. So what I'm going to come in here and do is do that again, what I had done before with this lasso tool, and just kind of extend his legs out. And then what I can do is do that kind of the same with the other part here, the his actual robe here. So, all right, let's see what we got here. All right, so we need to make Gandalf, just kind of bring him down all the way in size here a little bit. He was just a little bit too big. I've come to bring you on an adventure. Okay, all right. Rachel asks, how often do I do this? Rachel, this is basically the first time. So I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe starting to do this on Saturday nights, just as kind of a nice weekend event, a little thing to do. So if you like to tune in, I'll be streaming on Facebook and on Twitch and YouTube, at least for the time being. And Joel, thank you for hosting the broadcast. I appreciate that. That is pretty awesome. But Rachel, yes, glad you are enjoying it. I haven't told you about the plan. The plan is to I'm not sure if this is what we're going to do, but to do an oil painting of this. And so what we'll do is we'll actually figure this out, the drawing of it, and then transfer it onto a board, a masonite board, and then do an acrylic underpainting with an oil over it. That's my initial thought. I don't know. It kind of depends. We may end up bringing this all the way to the end digitally, because I enjoy working digitally. However, the working digitally, when I rest my hand, that's where I get in my hand problems that I got to before. So Rachel, I'm glad that you are calm. I hope that you are maybe enjoying a nice cup of warm tea and enjoying some art. Can we drink here? So as far as the oil goes, here's what maybe I'm thinking. See if I can grab it here. This is a painting I started of my beautiful wife, and I don't even know, is this even in the shot? I'm gonna hold it up here in front of my face. And this is oil on board. Okay. Oil on board. And I've been having a really fun time with this piece. I'm learning a lot about oils. Oils are difficult, but super, super rewarding. But as you can see, it's just on a really thin board. I don't like painting on canvas. I prefer painting on board. Give a nice close-up of it. So there's that painting. Does anybody else have a vote for oil or digital? What do we got for votes here? Okay, I'm going to, as those come in, I'm going to keep going here on Gandalf. Now, one of the things that Gandalf, that I probably should get going right away here is his staff, because, and this is where that drawing, I can't do any radial lines like this. That's been so long since I've actually been in Photoshop that I don't even know if there's actually anything that I can use to draw it. But so let's get his staff in here, because that staff is going to be very, very important. You know, I think I do have snapping on. Where is snapping? There it is, snap. Turn that off, because it was like getting caught on things. Okay, so I kind of want, that staff well above his head. But at the same time, not too far. Okay, so does anybody remember what the command is and to rotate? I can rotate the canvas. I think you can rotate like a little bit at a time, not the whole thing. I don't remember what that is. I'll look into that. So for now, don't know if I like that angle. It's like he's dancing with his staff. Yeah, I don't think I like that as much. So let's just rotate it. Let's see what it'd be like straight up and down. Or mostly straight up and down. Yeah. That's probably what needs to happen here. Oh, Alyssa, 2 fingers on the track. I'm not on the trackpad. Alyssa, it is really great to have you. I'm so used to drawing on the iPad. I don't even remember these tools anymore. What is rotate the canvas? I'm going to find out. Place the cursor of the tool in the image window and hold down the mouse button. This is not going to go well. Hold down R. Is that it, Alyssa? That is it. That's what I was looking for. Boom! Woohoo! Look at that rotation. I love it. Alyssa, 10 points to Alyssa. Everybody cheer on Alyssa. Hooray! Because she helped me remember. Oh gosh. And then here's the problem, though. Now, I think you hold down R and you hit Shift, then it will go back straight up and down. Okay, there we go. Are his legs long enough? Does he have nice Gandalf long legs? Alyssa, no, it really is nice to have you here. It's been a long time. Alyssa and I got to hang out a couple years ago making art. It was really, really fun. And now she's like one of the best photographers in town, which is just, she's absolutely amazing. And it's really, 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 really fun to see. I'm super proud of you. And so if you need photos and you're in the Bemidji area, or even if you're not, I recommend it. She did this really fun kind of Christmas portrait session that was really cool. Can always make him taller later. You know, at some point, Gandalf should not be any taller. And he's going to just be tall. Just going to be too tall. Okay. Do we like his staff straight up and down? I think the staff needs to be straight up and down because he's leaning on it. Or not necessarily leaning on it. Well, I mean, there's pressure on it a little bit. I didn't really explain what I did over here. If you look at the bottom corner, I suppose it's really hard to see because... Can I go like this? What happens if I do that and move my screen? Absolutely nothing happens. Doesn't matter. I'm kind of hiding it here. I need to figure out a better place for me. Than where I'm at right now. But I wanted to show you this really nice feature using a mask, because the mask down here, and if you hit this little button, it creates a mask on your layer. And what I've done is I can, if I paint on that with black, it will remove what I want, remove what I've painted out. If I do it with white, it brings it back. So I'm not erasing anything, so that I can always bring my image back if I want to. So right now I'm just gonna take out his legs, because I don't really necessarily need those in there anymore, and they're just really bad. They're horrible, and they're really, really distracting me. Alyssa, I would love to make art with you again. We had so much fun doing that. Or, you know, what we could do is we could also just chat photography, because I love photography as well. And you do absolutely great photography. I should show you guys some photos that I took here today. And I wonder if I just drop them right into Photoshop, I wonder if they'll be able to see them without doing much. But this is for Alyssa because she's an amazing photographer. But yeah, so we went out to the state park here today, and this is my lovely bride, Christina, and we took some really cool shots today out there. It was actually really fun. It was a little cold on my hands, but here's another one of my darling girl. But I love photography too. So we should chat some photography sometime. Okay, back to Gandalf and his need to So what I've noticed in this is that he's got he's got multiple tunics on underneath this, and so whoa, I forgot about that. I can just click and then grab my new stuff. Oh, there's some things that you forget, and then there's other things that you don't. And unfortunately, I feel like what I've forgotten is maybe more than I should have. I've used so many programs over the years, and in the last couple of years, just lots of different programs, whether it's for making music but there's some things you just simply don't forget how to do. So eventually what we'll do is if we do indeed go to an oil, we'll go to the table, and I'll just light that up. But I thought we could at least start here and show what we're working on. So I'm struggling. I'm not sure how this would all work. That's what's hard with cloth. And if Hasan was here, he would be laughing and he'd be like, dude, this isn't right at all. But Skippy mentions him being Treebeard height, and I maybe that's what I should do next, is actually a Treebeard of some sort. I mean, I think that would be awesome. All right, let's do a little bit before anything else happens. Let's do a little bit of value on our good friend here, Gandalf. I don't necessarily like how the value is right now. So wonder if I could just do a color. I just hit Control B to bring up color balance, and I'm just gonna move his color around. Oh, we could have a pink Gandalf. I mean, who doesn't want a my daughter would be, I don't know what she would think about that. And then I can't remember what it was for the adjustment of the curves, just Control M. Remember how I was kind of wanted to kind of bring things down. For this, what I may end up doing is there's a brush I have for flats. Let's see where that brush is. No, that's a different kind of flat. Maybe it's the hard round. I think it's this one that I used to do with for flats. Let me bring up my brush. Let's not do that. Oh, but it's still doing the dynamics. Oh, then I don't want that. Sorry, I'm just trying to find a brush that I could actually just lay. And it's because it is an updated. I think it's because of that button right there is really what I think it is. And I don't know much about that button. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called lay down a flat. We're going to kind of just go around Gandalf's beard here. But this flat allows me to not worry about quote unquote painting outside of the lines. And I can just kind of paint within them. So I can do that lock pixel that we talked about before, and then and I can just kind of paint inside, but it's a little bit easier to show you than it is to try to explain what in the world is going on here. So let's get that out of there a little bit. And so to have these flats allows me to lay down color really, really quickly and make changes really quickly and paint basically just Gandalf here and not have to worry about going outside of the lines. So then what I'll do is that instead of trying to paint all of that, what I do is I just kind of select it here. It's harder to do, I've noticed, with a microphone in front of me. All right, I'm going to hit Alt backspace and slam my microphone again for you. All right, so now we have a flat on Gandalf. And so if I go back to, let's get rid of this panel here. If I go back to this textured brush here, which I believe is this. Is this my favorite textured brush? So if I lock the pixels, I can't draw outside of that. I cannot draw outside of that line. That's this little guy right here. Boop, 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 lock pixels. But, so now what I can do is if I want to add a little bit of shadow, I can come in and start hitting this. And I don't need to worry about if I'm going to go outside of the lines or not. Yeah, there's parts of art that just absolutely take forever anyways. And so you might as well speed some of the things up. going to go too crazy on this or anything like that. Oh, I know I did forget, though, was the bottom part of his staff. So pay attention. This is what happens when you stream and try to paint at the same time. I can barely paint by myself in a locked room. Use what use that reference. What do you and what are you referencing when you say use the reference? Bum buddy bip bip bee buddy dee. I think I'd like to bring up another photo of Gandalf himself. 1 second here. Let me see if I can bring up a Gandalf. And another, I don't necessarily, I mean, I guess it doesn't. Ooh. Actually, you guys, you're not going to believe this. You're going to be like, why didn't you look for reference longer? That's what you're going to say when you see this. You're going to say, wow, he should have looked for reference like even 2 seconds longer. Look at this image. Look for reference even just for a little bit longer. Skippy, why did I do that? This would be very, very helpful. So one of the things I guess that I've been doing here was kind of drawing more of like Saruman's robe, because he's got the outer cloak on as well, and that's part of the thing I've missed. So remember to get more reference, and that's one of the things that's actually really easy to kind of skip on and say and just kind of move forward, but you end up paying the price. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead. I can't believe that I was working on getting this this pose here, and here he is kind of with a similar pose. What are the chances of that? Honestly. So, and that's, I think, in my head, I'm like, why is it that his sleeves are so big? And that's because they're just way bigger than they needed to be. Okay, let's get back to my drawing here. What I'd like to be able to do tonight is to get through. That's so funny. I can't believe that I've got this reference now that I could just use instead. It even has like all the cloth and everything. Honestly, it's so funny. And then, yeah, because I had the cloth going all the wrong angles. But we learn. So this right here is actually his outer cape, and I need to bring that down. And that is the issue that I've been dealing with. And look, he's even has his little... I can't believe I found reference for what I was looking for. Like right away. You see the light coming through his cloak right there? That shows how light it is. You know, it's a good reminder to spend the extra few minutes and get the reference, just gather some references, because good grief, that would have been really, really nice to have even just a little bit ago. So, but what we do need to do is go ahead and make. Let's get some proportions sorted out here. Now that we've had to change things, we do have to move some things around here. So let's get his arm coming down. We'll get this. We'll get it. I promise we will get this sorted. And I think he would have had a brooch of some, not brooch of some sort as well. We can mess around with his beard a little bit as well. But what we don't need is just a bunch of. I don't know why I've got like his shoulder. I mean, his shoulder is way up here. So hooray for reference. It came through for us in the end. And really helped us out quite a bit. Now I do have yeah, this is much nicer. Yeah, that helps tremendously, doesn't it, to have that there. Yeah. Awesome. Absolutely fantastic. Use that reference, use that reference. Now this makes me think, I wonder if maybe I shouldn't have to, try to have his arm up quite so high here. Going around this piece, but what I do know, what I can tell you is that his massive sleeves that I've been drawing, I mean absolutely massive sleeves. Don't need to be there. All right, so now let's put that flat on again and get that sorted out here. Yeah, that just is way better, isn't it? Way better. Nice. And then his outer one would kind of come right there. There we go. I think we're cooking now. Is Gandalf starting to come together now? I think that's what I think he really is. Yeah, that's great. So we don't need to get rid of that a little bit. Yeah. I like him. I'm liking Gandalf. He's becoming my friend. Yeah, I angle. Yeah, I suppose he can be angled in a little bit now. Because I have that both in my reference drawing, in my reference, and also in the original drawing, it is angled here, if you see that. One of the things I can't really see is what's happening at the feet level of this drawing, but that's okay. Okay, so I've locked those pixels again, so I can just kind of draw all over. Anything that needs to be, that's been missed, I can kind of just come in and hit it like that. But you know, this is exactly why it's really, really important to flip your canvas, so that you can see your problems. So one of the things I'm noticing about this too is that his staff is, you know, is a little bit tall. It's a little bit crazy. And still Gandalf is still just a little bit, I think, maybe even a little bit too tall here as well, but maybe he's just taller than life. But we want to, I guess we don't have to do it exactly like the picture, but yeah, you know, I really appreciate you guys coming out. I think what I'm going to do is this will just be my little project that I work on it when we stream together and have a good time. Yeah, it's been really this has been kind of fun. I hope that you have enjoyed yourself. I know I have. I enjoy making art, and part of streaming and saying, hey, I'm going to stream is so that, you know, I'm actually putting time aside and actually working on stuff, because man, is it so easy to just not paint, not do art, whether that's visual art or music or whatever you're working on, or knitting, or my goodness, whatever it is. It's so easy to find other things to do or to get distracted with other things. And so I think even just this streaming is saying, hey, I'm going to try on Saturday nights to be around and to draw with y'all. So I'm going to do maybe a couple more things here, and then I'm going to wrap it up, and we're going to move on to something else. So I really do hope that you've enjoyed yourself here tonight. Bada boom. All right, so maybe let's do a little bit of context for these guys, so they're not just like floating in a world by themselves. So what I'm going to do here, maybe this is a bad idea. This may be a really bad idea. This may be an idea that's really, really bad. But what I'm going to do is that little thumbnail that I drew a while ago, before we streamed. This shows that I've been using that middle ground instead of. Let's go ahead and make the canvas again. How many times can we increase the size of this canvas in a single session? I mean, maybe I should just like make it monster size so that I can just say it's done. I'm not making it any bigger. So for Gandalf here, let me just kind of fill in what would be behind him. And I'll do the same for Bilbo. Where did Bilbo go? There's Bilbo. He's right. His little folder was right underneath right underneath there. So right now I'm just literally drawing the color of the background in with that same brush. That's kind of the flat brush. But remember that I'm not trying to take this too far. I'm trying to use this as my guide, because I will be painting this. Oh, wow. Look out. So let's maybe try to get Gandalf about the right size. Does that seem about the right size for Gandalf? I'm going to grab another brush here. And kind of right above this, I'm just going to get rid of the remnants of Gandalf in the background. And we will come back to him later, because he is colored, and that is kind of nice. So we may need him. So I need to figure out actually how big we want Bilbo to be, because Gandalf is still fairly massive, and I think let's bring Bilbo up in size a little bit here. Well, that's fairly considerably. A floating hobbit, that's right. Start with a bigger canvas. You know, that is probably what I should do next time, is actually have a canvas that is large enough for whatever I'm trying to do. But that would have been silly for me to be that prepared. Do you like that I went and drew his mailbox? How about a reference that has both of them? Yeah. I can find one that has both of them. Gandalf needs to... I think Gandalf needs to go up just slightly. Slightly. I think maybe our background could be expanded ever so slightly as well to kind of encompass these two, so they're not getting totally lost in the piece. I mean, I don't want him to be so big in the piece that he's getting a little bit lost. But man, I do want the focus not necessarily to be on any of the background or of the Shire, but really on these two as characters, and as, you know, those who are about to head out, have an adventure together. Yeah, I think that's pretty nice. I wonder if I was to rotate Bilbo just a tiny bit. So he was kind of leaning back just a little bit to look up at Gandalf. You know what I mean? Not sure if you're able to even see what I'm doing here. Maybe zoom in just a little bit here. Boop. Wrong way. That's one of the advantages now that we have of working digitally, is the fact that I can just kind of move things around and see what works best. Let's flip it. Let's flip it. Takes a little bit because it's a little bit larger. Part of me likes it this way a little bit better, but I don't know if it's because I started drawing it the other way as to why I like it that way. One of the things is that I kind of want Gandalf a little bit further from him, but I also don't want him hitting off the page. It may feel a little bit like this background is still just a little bit too big. I mean, yeah. I'm just going to take some of this out here a little bit. This white part is kind of just, whoa, it's kind of distracting me a little bit. So I'm just kind of erase that, and we're going to come back and when we start the color comp, that'll also make a big difference, because the other thing is that the colors aren't blending. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. I'm going to go to hue and saturation, and then I'm just going to drag that saturation bar all the way down so that we're looking at just value here. And this is a huge help. Sometimes you can see what some of the problems are. So for example, I think it's Control M brings up that curve on Gandalf, and I'm just going to just make Gandalf considerably darker here, because he'll need to be. This S curve brings up the highlights and the down. Boom. So obviously it looks ridiculous right now because it's a little more saturated. Whenever you add contrast to an image, whether that's in editing photos or illustration, when you add contrast, you also add saturation. And so you have to be really, really careful. Oh, yes. Thank you, Christina. I did see that particular image, and that's really good. I don't think I actually want Bilbo that big. That is the movie, and they did use, what it is it forced perspective to make Bilbo look smaller. But I do actually want him to be more child size. And so that one's going to be just a little bit too big. This also, and a little adjustment layer here. I can actually just add a little bit of brightness. Boop. Well, that's not what I wanted actually. Maybe just a little bit, another curves. Curves are the best. I like curves. I use them all the time in almost everything that I'm working in. Just want to be able to see a little more what I'm doing there. But okay, so here we are. We are at a I think a pretty good spot in which we can come back to and eventually land at a better spot with both Bilbo and Gandalf. I think they're in a good spot for us to come back next week. So thank you for those of you that showed up and supported what I'm doing here, just live streaming. I didn't give anybody much of a heads up that I was really going to do it. I think I only mentioned like an hour before on Facebook that I was going to stream, but it's been really fun, and thanks for tuning in, and I hope that you can come around next time as we continue on our illustration here for when Bilbo and Gandalf meet. This isn't their first meeting, but it is in The Hobbit. So I'm looking forward to continue on this. Well, next week we're going to work on kind of finishing up the line drawings and getting the color comp going so that we have something to work from when we're oil painting. So this is not a sprint. This is a marathon of in my particular process of illustrating, is that it can take a long time, but there's great reward in doing it this way. At every stage I work on new problems, not old ones. I don't want to be halfway through my painting and working on a drawing problem. I want to sort my drawing problem out now so that when I come to that that part of the painting, I'm set on that. So and sometimes that can be a little more enjoyable too, because you're just working on something that kind of one piece at a time rather than drawing value and color everything at once. So all right, thank you so much, you guys, for joining in and for the support, and have a great rest of your weekend. Much love. Bye-bye.